Will Chelsea's forgotten fallen soldiers rise from their ruins? Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video. Big up your damn selves in the building. Make sure you smash up the likes every single damn time and subscribe if you are new. Road to 100k continues, and today we're talking about Chelsea's forgotten fallen soldiers and whether they can rise and return and respond and recover. Because let's be honest, some of these players on this list have high pedigree, they have high history, they have high capabilities, but we have not seen them since donkey's years. And some players on this list were just purchased and cost a pretty penny, and we'd like to see where that money is going. But all of these players on this list are questions, are concerns, are doubts, some confusion, and we must get into it. So listen, it pains me. It really does pain me, but there are pockets of the people, pockets of the fan base that are starting to chat and talk about what are we gonna do with Reece James. That's the first player on the list, the world-class academy graduate, because he is a world-class player. We saw it in his early years coming into this team. The level that he showed out on loan in the championship, taking player of the year, captaining a relegation, candidate in Wigan, and coming into this side in the Cobham year with Lampard and Mason Mount and Tomori and Abraham, and kicking on to then win the Champions League the following, and being an incredible player in that run-in with Thomas Tuchel and locking up, Sterling on that left-hand side in that Champions League final, and being an incredible wing-back that can give us goals and give us incredible crossing ability and give us incredible chance creation. And even last season when he came in before suspension for just a glimmer, for just a moment, he gave us that fantastic assist, I believe, against Nottingham Forest for Jackson, and then disappeared once again. And he's positionally versatile. We talk about someone that could play in the back three when the left back is inverted, the issue that we faced with Disasi on the weekend in that wide area before Fofana moved out there when Tosin came on. Reece James can play that role beautifully. Reece James can play that role with no questions and no qualms, no queries. He can play right side centre back with the strength, with the defensive side of the game locked up, with the wonderful passing ability. Can you imagine Reece James on a wide centre back position with Chilwell on the other side, just playing these beautiful passes, progressive runs? The crossing can still come from there. If you remember Azpilicueta in the Conte season for Morata, or even, just Azpilicueta in general in that back three, sometimes making those crosses, but especially for Morata. And I say all of that, and I just heap on because the pain just makes it excruciating. This guy, when is he coming back? When is he returning? Now, some people are saying, listen, we have to almost be grateful that we are just allowing this to peter out in regards to allowing him to just be quiet for a moment, because we have gusto, and just don't be really talking about a return date. Just he's on the grass, he's training, but the lack of knowing as to when he's coming back is making people more concerned, making people question, what did that surgery do? Was that surgery successful? We're gonna find out by the end of the season, but this is a player that is our captain. This is a player that we need. And the reason why I bring it up, because if it was just about Reece James and gusto, I think it would be a calmer conversation, because you could just sit here and say, well, gusto plays when Reece James isn't there, and Reece James is just a bonus. But there's a certain player called Acheampong who needs to be discussed, who's been touted and talked about as a very high potential player. If you even remember, Real Madrid reportedly showing a bit of interest. And that doesn't shock me, I'll be honest. I think Acheampong is one of those players that if you've been watching him in the academy, and I've seen some really good things. I don't watch academy games, but what I have seen, and then the people that know their academy football, what they say about him. I mean, we know. I don't even need to convince you. We produce brilliant fullbacks. We just do. we just produce fullbacks for fun. Tariq Lamptey, really good player. We know this, but obviously a little bit petite. Sometimes a lot of injuries. Livramento, Lewis Hall, Maatsen, Reece James, Acheampong now. And then I haven't even got to the centre backs. We just produce brilliant defenders. We just produce a lot of defenders. Are we willing to sacrifice what Acheampong could be to keep Reece James, because it could and probably will come down to that at some point, because we can't have 3 right backs. Now, I think the way that this gets answered is 2 ways. Reece James either comes back and plays and produces world-class performances, then there is no conversation, or Acheampong comes into this squad, plays in the Conference League, which I want him to, impresses, shows everybody his physical side. He's a very tall guy. He's a guy that can play in the right side centre back in my position, in my opinion as well. He's versatile. He can get forward. He's done so in the academy multiple times. He actually can get a goal. He can, be that threat as well back there. If he starts to perform really well, people take a liking to him, people get an affiliation and a connection, and Reece James isn't coming back into this team anytime soon, the conversation starts. Because this may feel premature to you, but it doesn't take long for people to get gassed. If a young player comes into this team, especially from Cobham, and they shell out and they perform, it doesn't take long for their stocks to go up. It doesn't take long for people to be like, oh, that's a good player, That's a good player, man. And then next thing you know, it's, what do we do? Because now that player's stock is going up, people want answers. Is he going to be sold? Is he going to stay? If he stays, what's happening here? Hopefully they can all kind of live simultaneously in some sort of ecosystem where maybe Acheampong becomes a centre-back, I don't know, a right-side centre-back, and maybe it's a Disasi or whoever else. We have a lot of centre-backs, so it's a tough one. My conclusion right now is I get the conversation, but I find it, and I know I'm being a hypocrite, because at times I've said, listen, this person's too injury prone, they got to go. But Reece James is still young. And I cannot bear to think of parting ways with what I deem a world-class player, undisputedly, undoubtedly a world-class player. Because world-class players, they don't go anywhere else other than the top clubs. I can't see Reece James going anywhere else but a Real Madrid. Anywhere else but, a top team, Barcelona, or Bayern Munich. If whoever needs a right back, these are the kind of caliber of clubs I expect to be interesting for Reece James. I don't expect Reece James to go and play for a top 8 Premier League team after this situation resolves itself. So you're getting rid of him to someone that could potentially, if I don't know what the issue is, because obviously he's had the surgery, but if they fix him, that level of regret, that is something that stays with you, I'll be honest. But this is only for the top 5% of players. And for me, this is one of the best in his position. And when he is available and he's on some sort of momentum, and I know people say, it's a long time ago, but you are talking about the best person in their position in the world, in my opinion. We're not talking about top 5, top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, top, in my opinion. And if you want to have the debate as a rival, you could say top 3, top 2. But you can't extend it more than that for what you actually know the player to do. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. But I dread to think what could happen if he doesn't get over these issues, because I also can't blame the club if they did sell him, if he had a season riddled of injuries and then they sold him and just promoted Acheampong. I couldn't say, this is blasphemy, because someone's got to make a tough decision, and it's not going to be me because I'm too emotionally attached. You let me know in the comments down below. Let's move on to Chilwell. Benjamin James Chilwell. His injury record is also very worrying, but it's more, it seems, from Maresca's point of view, technical maybe. Now, this is a player that personally is not a Reece James level player. I know they both performed as wing backs in that season, and Chilwell was just as important in terms of getting goals and whatnot, but he's just not the same level and same quality of footballer as Reece James. So when it comes to Chilwell, and it maybe plays into the fact as well that obviously Reece James come through the academy, and he's also captain, like he's got a lot of intangibles coming with him as well. Chilwell, I would have sold in the summer. I would have cashed in, but no one came in. And that maybe is even more concerning than the situation itself. The fact that nobody came in tells you what a mess this situation really is. Because I can tell you right now, if Reece James was available and he was able to pass a medical, people would come in. No doubt about it, no question, people would come in. No one came in for Chilwell. What happens with Chilwell? Fallen soldier, will he recover? My guess, let me say my guess, and then let me say what I think. What I think is that Maresca kind of can't allow him to really come back into the fold. And I'll say why. When you come out publicly and you say that this person is no longer part of the plans, and you say that so categorically and so definitively, you didn't say it in a Chukwuemeka way where it's like, he's talented, I like him, but I got a lot of 10s, I got a lot of wingers, and he's injury prone, so I kind of would like him to go and play 30 games elsewhere or find a solution. And then now he's being reintegrated back in because we couldn't get that solution. You said Chilwell cannot fit in. You said Chilwell is the odd one out. He needs to find another club. You said these guys on this list, they need to find somewhere else to go. They need to find a home because you're not interested in adopting. So because of that, you can't play now. I don't think you should, and I don't think you can play that game of bringing him back in and now what, you're going to use him? You said he didn't fit. And the reason why I say this is because if you get into if the club, I wouldn't say the club because it's not really just him. If the club get themselves into a position again where they want to banish someone, no one's going to take you seriously. The agents, the players that you're trying to move on so swiftly and aggressively, they're not going to take you seriously if you are showing that you'll reintegrate them as soon as the window closes. So I think Chilwell should be training with the first team. I think he should have always been training with the first team, to be honest, but he's training with the first team because he's not a bad character. Chilwell's a lovely lad. I think everybody knows that Chilwell's a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy to have in the dressing room. He always is spoken about as someone that will help all of his teammates. He's someone that brings people together. He's not going to create, for me, unless a player is going to create a toxic atmosphere and they're going to be detrimental to the overall environment, that's when, okay, you could potentially say, right, they need to train alone because they're not going to be able to handle this situation with professionalism. I don't think Chilwell falls into that category. But from a player, actually, from an ability standpoint, I've always felt like his injury record doesn't compensate for his quality, and we can improve upon him. We can improve upon the left back position in general. Cucurella is obviously there at the moment, but you know me, I would love a left back that can invert, overlap, cross, everything. I want it all. I grew up on Ashley Cole. But with Chilwell, I think his situation, bar injury, stricken, Renato and Cucurella, kind of have to leave Chilwell where he is in that third slot and just let him train and then find a situation and solution in the January window. But if he does come back in, I've said it before, he is the only out-and-out overlapper. But for me, like I said, I wouldn't play both sides. You've said what you've said. It kind of needs to mean something from a wider perspective. Even though if it doesn't, no one will take you seriously. So we'll see with that one. You guys let me know what would happen with Chilwell. Vice captain, of course, previously, not anymore. That's another thing that's been taken off of him. It's pretty damning, pretty definitive. Like I said, from a technical standpoint, he's a good shooter. He's good going forward. He makes good runs off the ball. But in possession, not anything special. Very one-sided, very heavy on the left, not able to go both ways. I don't really feel like with the version we get today at present, I don't feel like we have to kind of crawl back and say you have to be here. But you let me know. The third person on my list is Chukwuemeka. More injuries. As you can see on screen for everyone, more injuries. Chukwuemeka, as I said earlier, is a player that has got talent. I think he's got potential. But I think Chelsea have almost written his story for him. I'll be honest. He's had his injuries, he's had his problems, but they've written his story for him because when you bring in Felix, when you bring in all of these attacking players, and I mentioned Felix in particular because Felix is the one that I think has to kind of play after Palmer in that 10. I think Sancho will now be a winger and Wood was always probably going to be a winger. Neto's definitely going to be out wide as well. Madueke. So where's the space for Chukwuemeka? There is no space. Now, hopefully he gets his Conference League minutes. Maresca said he likes the player. If he can keep himself fit, this is mainly what it probably depends on, because if you're not available for selection, you can't be selected. But it feels like a player that as soon as he shows signs of being something, if that game time comes in a Conference League run, he'll be sold. He'll be sold. His story seems already written. I can't see a way back for Chukwuemeka. Not because of the lack of ability or talent, but purely because of lack of opportunity in positions. There's no positions on the pitch for him. And now when I talk about politics again, I talk about money spent. There's players ahead of him now in terms of pecking order to prove themselves. Sancho is obligated to be here next season. Felix is already here for quite a bit of money. Now we need to see return. The only thing that is an issue with Chukwuemeka is his wages, because he's on 100k a week. This was a Todd Boehly sporting director move, and that has probably prevented him as well from getting a transfer out. That is the only stumbling block. But I wouldn't be surprised if the player says, you know what, I'll take 80k just to get my career back on track. I think he'd more than be ambitious to try and get into the England squad. He'd want to start playing regular football soon, and he'd want to start making use of that development that he has, because when we talk about Chukwuemeka coming from Aston Villa, now we're seeing Rodgers, we're seeing Jacob Ramsey play Champions League. Chukwuemeka could have easily been, he could have been there with Duran, with Watkins, with McGinn, with Bailey. He could have been there. He's got the talent to play exactly in the positions that Ramsey's and Rodgers are playing in, and get the same level of, you know, kind of media attention that those guys are probably going to get right now. So I feel for him. Hindsight's a bitch, because Villa were nowhere near this position when he left, but I feel sorry for him, because in another world, he actually might even be knocking on the door for England, and he actually might be getting a lot of plaudits, and he would be, in my opinion. The talent's there. So again, you guys let me know in the comments, but I think so far, my emotional attachment to James, Chilwell, I'd say there's no real return because of the amount of publicity. And Chukwuemeka, I think the writing is on the writing is on the wall. And Mudryk is the final player. Mudryk is the final player. The first two have fallen from great heights, great achievements. Chukwuemeka has not fallen from great heights and great achievements, but more so from potential and what could have been. And Mudryk is the price tag. You know, it's the price tag. At the end of the day, it's a player that we paid a lot of money for, £62 million plus add-ons, but I don't think those add-ons will be met. And he's a player that, again, there's no space. So will he rise? Will he recover? In my opinion, no. 3 out of the 4 on this list, I'm predicting, won't recover. And the first one, I'm hoping it's emotional. I'm tearing up, but you know, he's I'm starting to worry about him as well. Mudryk, for me, there's no space. When they bring in Sancho, when they bring in Neto, they are sending messages to you, not verbally, but they're sending those visual messages to you that you are not part of the plan, or you are not living up to the expectation and you are treading water. And I think when it comes down to Mudryk now, those Conference League games, if you're not producing 10 out of 10s, you can forget about it. But in my opinion, the writing's already on the wall as well. I think the damage is already done. And I think it's only a matter of time. The only issue Chelsea are going to have is recouping that fee, because I don't even think people would even pay 40. I think you're looking at 25 max, to be honest, max. And that's for the potential. That's for whatever the Shakhtar CEO Ballon d'Or dream was meant to be. I don't think it will come true, personally. But when we're talking about Sancho coming in, making an impact immediately, showing that IQ, showing that 1v1, showing that link up, showing that chance creation. When you're seeing Neto come in against Wolves and making that bursting run off the ball and making that assist for João, already I'm afraid they've shown more than Mudryk has shown his whole Chelsea career in regards to just the intelligence. I'm not talking about moments. Mudryk has had moments. He scored a cross shot against Arsenal. He's had a lovely nutmeg against Newcastle. I'm talking about the intelligence to make that off the ball run. We don't see enough from Mudryk. The intelligence to be able to nutmeg someone, the ability to be able to nutmeg someone, but then also follow it up with key passes, follow it up with vision, follow it up with awareness, weight of pass. He's shown these things in very small glimpses, but not even packaged properly, that we can send off and show people and say Mudryk is a player. Shut up, rivals, you know? So for me, so far down the pecking order now, that he will be released from his duties and he will be sent packing. So again, that's another player that I don't think is going to really rise from his ruins. And I think, unfortunately for him, not really for me, because I just need results, I just need performances, but unfortunately for him, we are not a daycare, we are not a nursery, and we cannot continue to communicate on the sidelines, yappa, about what you need to do, what you should be doing, how you need to play, where you need to stand, what run you need to make, how you should We haven't got the time for this. This is academy. This is academy stuff. It's academy stuff. This is the kind of stuff that they teach you in the academy. If an academy product comes into the first team and needs this level of cuddling and this level of teaching and this level of communication whilst they're on the pitch, we say that player is not ready. You need to go out on loan. Before it was Vitesse, now it would be Strasbourg. You need to go out on loan. And there's many people that have said, oh, Mudryk should go out on loan. He's 23. He's going to be 24. No. We loan the young players. We loan the players that are in their teenage years, in their early 20s, early 20s. We don't loan people about to turn 24. We don't. I'm afraid. That's unless they are Kepas and Lukaku's, and there's a problem. We need to, I don't know how we're even gonna get the valuation back up. I don't know how we're gonna start to bring the market value back up. But the moment we get it up to something respectable, cash in, keep it moving. Simple. But you guys, again, you let me know in the comments down below, will he be able to recover? Will he be able to rise? Will he even get the opportunity to do so? That's the bigger question, because there's so many people vying for his position. But make sure you smash up the likes. Chelsea's fallen soldiers. These are Chelsea's players that must respond, must recover, must rise, because time is not on their side for some of them, for all of them really, because with every single one of them, there are other players chomping at the bit. Mudryk has Tyreek George next up, chomping at the bit after coming on in the last Conference League game. Reece James has got Action Pong's development to consider and to think about. Football and time waits for no man. Sometimes if the man is very special, it might wait a bit longer, but it still keeps ticking. Chilwell, publicity, I'm afraid, is in the bin. And Chukwuemeka, you've just got about 3-4 people ahead of you as well. So you guys let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you smash the likes, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. In a bit, people. Peace.